Hi everybody, welcome back. It's been a little while since we did one of these sort of first look reviews, mainly because I let things slip, right? It's very easy, I found, to not do things. Not doing things is really easy. And sometimes that even extends to finishing what is actually a very good book. It was really enjoyable. But energy and effort, that's a thing, isn't it? But as I say, if you want to really do something, you have to make time to do that. I have actually put little blocks in my schedule that says this is book time, so make sure you read your books. So I'm trying to get better at that and trying to maybe give up a little bit of the doom scrolling for the Kindling. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, the book we are doing is James Corey's Leviathan Wakes. There we go. I know that this book is what the TV show The Expanse was based on, and I'm going to confess, I watched The Expanse. I remember almost nothing of The Expanse. I know it was good. I know people speak very well of it. It's all gone. I mean, as I was reading bits of it here, I kind of remembered. I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of sort of remember this thing. But it erased itself from my memory, which is great because it means that I kind of get to see the story again for the very first time. Maybe now I'll go back and look it up again and watch it one more time. Because this was a really good, well put together sci-fi story. There's a blurb on the cover from George R.R. Martin. It's been too long since we've had a really kick-ass space opera. I don't know that I would call it space opera. I don't think it was operatic enough. I think it was gritty in a lot of ways. So the basic sort of rundown of the book, you've got this crew working for an ice hauler. They go to respond to an SOS signal because that's the law. You have to do that. Doing that gets their ice hauler blown up. The survivors end up kind of hooking up with a Martian craft, which also gets blown up. There's a lot of ships getting blown up just as these survivors get on them and off them. It's terrible. And ultimately, that leads them down a path to discovering something truly terrible, in which, as is so often true, capitalism is the villain here. But I mean, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Why is this an entertaining book to read, right? That's always a question we want to ask ourselves. And a big reason is because I think the characters are very, very well thought out. There are basically two sort of hub characters to this book. One of them is Holden. Holden is a guy from Earth. He was in the Earth Navy. He's a spacer. He grew up on like a commune on Earth with multiple mothers and fathers. And he is an idealist. When he, for example, when the water ship, the Canterbury, is blown up, the first thing he does is he does a broadband message to the solar system that says, hey, somebody blew up the Canterbury, and I have evidence of some evidence from the Martians, from Mars, right? Not really Martians. They're humans transplanted onto Mars. You get the point. And that's a problem because in this world, there is sort of a three-way power struggle going on in the solar system. There is Earth, which is the core world where everybody comes from. And at one point in the book, they say, as much as Mars and the Belt like to think that they can live without Earth, they really can't because Earth still grows so much of the stuff that the other worlds need. And Earth kind of rests on its laurels at being the home world, right? They think they don't really... They think that they're going to get their way, or they should get their way, get very annoyed when they don't. The second power hub is Mars, which has been colonized by humans for a while now. It is still a work in progress. They've got domed cities and everything, but, true to their name, they are great with the military. They have excellent ships that are capable of doing some real damage. And then the other force is the Belt, the asteroid belt, which is a source of countless, almost immeasurable wealth. And as is so often the case, when immeasurable wealth is extracted from nature, it is usually the poorest and most badly treated people who end up doing it. And the Belters, especially multi-generational Belters, basically have evolved a whole new point of view on themselves and the rest of the solar system. And these three forces don't get along very well, understandably so. And so by announcing that the Canterbury has been blown up and that there's Martian equipment involved, basically Holden pretty much starts a war. And he actually does this a couple times. He believes that if everybody knows everything, then we can all come to a good, well-informed decision. And unfortunately, the system keeps proving him wrong, that it is not the case. So yeah, Holden is kind of our first real point of view character, I think first point of view character for the book. But we do follow him and we like him because he means the best. He manages his whole crew of survivors from the Canterbury and later survivors from the Donager. They follow him because they adore him and because they know that he is going to try to do the right thing. And they know that he's going to try to do the best by him. The problem, of course, or by them, I should say. The problem, of course, is that doing the right thing often causes a whole bunch of trouble. It is not pragmatic. It is not practical. And that's where the other central character comes in, who is Miller. Miller is a noir detective. He really is. He's a police officer on Ceres, or a security officer, I should say. They don't really have police. They contract out security from Earth. But he's a security officer on Ceres. He thinks he's doing a pretty good job. He feels good about himself. And just when you read him, you can only imagine him really in black and white, in a maybe a dirty raincoat, and he's got his little pork pie hat on. And Miller's job is to try and keep Ceres, which is this big asteroid, one of the largest asteroids in the system, which has been hollowed out basically, and it's become a shipping hub. Try to keep it from going crazy. Try to keep everything safe. And he shows, like, one of the Belter traits is doing what needs to be done. Early on in the book, he says, if someone is causing trouble, if someone is a danger to others, then the Belters know you have to put that person in an airlock and put them out to space. Because they can't afford trouble. They don't have a natural atmosphere. They don't have natural water. Anything happens, the entire station could just die. And so that makes people in Ceres and Belters very, very pragmatic. But at the same time, he kind of has his own little romantic streak as well. He is charged with finding a young woman named Julie Mao. Her parents want to know where she is, and they've tracked her maybe to Ceres. And so he gets assigned that, but it turns out to be kind of a dummy mission. And one of the most heartbreaking moments in the book is where Miller discovers that the Mao investigation was one he was never supposed to succeed at. And in fact, he is a good detective. I want to make that very clear. The character, as you read him, the character puts pieces together really well. He is very insightful. He reads people really, really well. But the people in charge, they don't see him that way. And he soon discovers that he's where, like, the losers go to get partnered up. No one really thinks he's very good. And his entire sense of self is just stripped away from him, right? I'm a cop, that's what he thinks. And then the higher-ups are basically, yeah, but you're not a very good one. And that's a whole really depressing sequence where he's like, everything I thought I knew about myself is wrong. I thought I was good. I thought I knew what I was doing. I thought I was helping out. And it turns out, no, you weren't. And I like that because I think we've all had that feeling. You know, I know certainly in teaching, I've occasionally entertained that thought about, like, what if I'm not actually as good as I think I am and nobody's told me? But to be fair, they keep giving me stuff to do, so I'm assuming I'm doing okay, and my students keep passing, so hooray! But anyway, you've got these two forces, Holden and Miller, and they kind of converge on the real plot of the book, right? Who's been blowing up these ships? Who blew up the Canterbury? Who blew up the Donager? What happened to Julie Mao? All of these things, and they are both, as I think one of the characters points out, in their analysis of the situation, they're both right, but they're right for different reasons, and it's incompatible reasons. It is an existential threat to humanity, let's put it that way. I don't want to spoil everything. It's not a new book, but it's an existential threat to humanity, let's say that. And Miller understands that you have to make hard choices. Holden wants to do something very kind of noble and diplomatic to try to save it, and you can't really have both, except that in the end, of course, they do have both, because, you know, it's fiction, and you make these things work, because otherwise it's real depressing and sad. But what I really, really enjoyed, I really enjoyed the characters trying to come to some sort of compatibility with such very different values. And I really liked the politics of this three-way system within the inner solar system and the values that develop under really, really different environmental circumstances and how hard it is for them to understand each other. I mean, that's a a large part of this book is about understanding other people whose existence is fundamentally different from your own. And I think the author did a really, really nice job of that. There's some other good stuff as well. There's definitely, as I said before, capitalism is the enemy in this. The existential threat of which I speak is one that is being exploited for power, really, more than anything else. And you learn that there is a large sort of system-wide company that is kind of taking advantage of something truly, truly terrible and dangerous in the hopes that they can, the talking point is, oh, this will help change humanity. This will get us to the stars. We're all going to be better, healthier, happier, and all that. But we all know it'll make them rich. That's kind of how this works. So yeah, capitalism is the enemy here. And again, we have very different ways of dealing with it, right? Are we going to put it on trial? Are we going to put this company through some sort of public trial where everyone sees what they've done and everyone will think they're very, very bad? Or do we just shoot the CEO in the face? You can probably guess which character wants which option. I'm not going to tell you which option they take, though, because that would be spoiling, which I've probably already done enough of already. But yeah, I think this book is really about, it's great sci-fi, which we always like, but it's very much about doing the right thing. And how do you know when to do the right thing? And what do you do when there are different versions of the right thing that can be done and they don't work together? So yeah, I enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. It was a very good read. Again, the slowness with which I read the book is entirely because of my own motivational flaws or whatever. Certainly not the fault of the book, which was quite good. I also really should go watch The Expanse again. Because again, I remember it being good and nothing else. And now I've read the book. And so I'd like to watch it again and kind of see how it was done on screen. So that should be good as well. I know there are more books in this series, in the Expanse series. I have no idea what they're about because this book kind of ties kind of a nice little bow at the end of at least the major existential crisis of which I spoke. There is still plenty of craziness and politics to go on. You know that the Belt and Earth and Mars are never really going to live in perfect harmony. That's not going to happen. So I imagine future books in the series are probably along those lines. We shall see. I don't know. But I look forward to reading those. So if you have read Leviathan Wakes, if you've read the whole Expanse series, fantastic. That's great. Why don't you talk to me in the comments? Tell me what you think. Comments. I'm gonna call it right here. Comments are gonna be spoilerific. Just spoil anything you want in the comments. I don't care. If you haven't read the book, then don't read the YouTube comments. Don't read the YouTube comments is generally a good idea anyway. So, but if you have read it and you want to talk about it, put it in the comments. Subscribe. All that other good stuff. I'm really glad I got to finally finish a book and kind of put all that other nonsense aside so I could do the thing that I like to do. And I'm getting better at that. I'm on a new book already, blocking out time so I read this. So hopefully I'll get to do more of these videos. Wouldn't that be great? Fantastic. So thank you all for sticking with me and coming around. I hope you enjoyed this and this look at this really good science fiction book. Yeah, you'll see me when I finish the next one. Okay? Stay well. See you later.